Want to know about the exciting art scene in Jacksonville, Florida? How Legos can be used to teach children about web design or using art to integrate technology? I would like to introduce you to a beautiful couple who met in Reader's Theater and are using their gifts to enlighten students about STEAM. William and Aida Jackson are STEAM educators and the founders of My Quest to Teach and Love Built Life. STEAM means science, technology, engineering, art, and math. It is an approach to teaching and learning in which STEM education principles are taught through the arts. The mission of My Quest to Teach is to teach the value of accountability and responsibility associated with social media and technology. Welcome to Inside Black America. We are a feature podcast produced by KISA Public Radio. Each week, we feature analysis of vital issues, strong interviews with unique voices on politics, the arts and letters, science, religion, and the media. I am your host, Lisa Tinsley, and I welcome you to my interview with William and Aida Jackson.
Well, we're both educators here in Jacksonville, and we both have a passion for youth, teens, and young adults being prepared for future careers and future opportunities to grow. And we share that passion, with our children as well when they were younger growing up. And Aida and I, we were married December 12th, 2020, during the pandemic, and it was a wonderful blessing that we share so many common interests in the area of STEM and STEAM. But before we were married, we were friends for several years. So we worked together with a group called Reader's Theater. It was a reader's production where we had the opportunity to travel around and share the writings of Zora Neale Hurston and several other authors. And just sharing that content and sharing that information. And the more we worked together, we grew in our relationship and our love and respect for each other. We're both Christians, and we love to talk about our faith and how we can, through our words, deeds, and actions, help others to achieve their goals in their life, with education and working and collaborating. So during that time, we always talked about STEM and STEAM and things we wanted to do in a community. So we have several partnerships, and this was all pre-COVID. We had partnerships with the Jacksonville Public Library, where on the weekends we would have free workshops for youth and teens where we taught them STEAM elements and design and modeling and also web development. And we had a partnership with the Microsoft store as well, where they allowed us to use their facilities to have weekend or if available week workshops as well. So we'd have all our materials together, and with Aida being an artist, she has plenty of materials, and myself being a STEM teacher at a school, we used our personal equipment and we'd buy stuff that we wanted to teach the students or teach the young people in the community. And we would just use our skills to try to show students and families a different light in life with education, the value and importance, and also with hands-on project development, whether it was web development, coding, engineering, and all the elements of STEM and STEAM. So it's been going pretty good. We speak at several conferences locally and nationally and internationally. Before COVID, we had the opportunity to go to Canada a couple of times, Calgary. We had a chance to go to Costa Rica a few times to speak and teach down there. This year, because of COVID, we had to virtually participate in a historical event that was WordCamp Central America, where we assisted with the kids camp virtually. So we had young people all across Central America virtually teaching them STEM and STEAM concepts, and they did art projects. So we try to stay as engaged as possible. So I don't want to take up too much time. I'm going to let Aida go ahead as well, because I can run my mouth sometimes. So she has to let me
We appreciate it. It's very good to know. So, yes, Aida, yes, please share with us.
Yeah, so, well, I've been teaching art, as a volunteer for a long time. So yes, I think William pretty much said it all. We also work with adults as well, but mostly with the kids with the STEAM. What I love about it is using art to integrate technology so that, because technology for kids other than, playing on their phone, when we get into deeper things such as blogging or coding can be big concepts for them. But when you use art, art helps them to see the concept in a different way. So you can break it down. For example, we've taught how to create a web post using Legos so that they could see that each block represents something on the post. I've taught them social media through using, a piece of paper that looks like an Instagram post where they can draw a picture and then they can put information underneath. So they see it in a different light when we're actually integrating art into that. So that's my favorite part of what we do. And then also the diversity portion of it. I teach diversity, inclusion and diversity on a university level as well as to teens, which is what I'm actually doing this week through a program called Metrotown. So I really have a heart for those kids who are underserved and underrepresented. So we love to be able to come out into communities that normally people won't come out to teach.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to speak with you all about the challenges that schools are facing now, and also people like yourselves who are out educating young people about STEAM. So will you address a few of the challenges you're facing or that children are facing today?
For me, being in the classroom, in a traditional classroom environment, one of the challenges when you're trying to teach the students new concepts is getting them to understand the importance and the value and the connection of what you're trying to teach them. So let's say one of our projects was the study of the International Space Station. And because children and youth and teens are not exposed to the sciences, a lot of young people don't know that there's an actual space station orbiting the planet Earth, the International Space Station, and it's been there for the last 20 years. And they also don't know that the fact that there's astronauts of all nationalities and, men and women that are going back and forth on like 6 to 9 month rotations doing experiments. And a lot of the experiments can only be done in space. And we have a chance this summer. Aida's working with Metrotown, and we have 5 classes this summer. 4 of them are virtual. 1 is in person, actually teaching STEAM elements to high school and middle school students. And it's challenging when you want to present these concepts to them because these are where the careers are going. And when you talk about SpaceX and SpaceX being a commercial company, not part of the government, but the new jobs that they're creating and their collaboration with NASA, and you try to share with them, these are new careers that you'll have access to if you are able to work with technology, if you are able to work with mathematics, if you're able to work with people from around the world. And this is one of the things that we try to emphasize to them to get them to understand. You have to learn to get along with people of different colors and different backgrounds. You may not like math, but there's an important and valuable reason why you should learn math. And we talk about managing money and how the technology is used to send people into space. And we often refer to the movie The Hidden Figures, where the women, they didn't use computers. They used math in their heads.
Exactly.
And they were yes, ma'am. And they were able to solve complex mathematical equations. And there's actually a scene in Hidden Figures where one of the astronauts, he doesn't even want to take off at all until one of the young ladies solves a mathematical equation that allows him to escape Earth's gravity. And he was adamant that he didn't want to go up into space until she solved the equation. So she was trying to solve it. They were putting it on the computer to solve it, and she solved it in her head. And we use situations like those to show kids the value of enjoying math, learning math, enjoying the sciences, how valuable the arts are, because now they're hiring artists to design the spacecraft because they want futuristic spacecraft. And if you look at the space suits of the astronauts, they are very, what's one of the terms the kids use, dope and fly, I guess, because the way they're designed, they look really cool.
But also they're really functional. And I think that's one of the challenges as an artist. The two challenges I would say, especially when we're serving underserved children, is that one, if you've lived most of your life, especially your parents have lived most of their life without a computer in the house, you think it's something that it's not a need, it's a want. But nowadays it's a need. And to try to convey that, not just to the parents, but help them to understand that the future, this is where technology is the future. It's not, and it's here, but it's definitely going to be in the future. There are going to be jobs that are going to be obsolete 10, 15 years from now. It's not like when our parents were growing up, just get a job here and that's how it's going to be. It doesn't work that way anymore. And that's what we need to teach our children. And that's a hard concept. It's hard to believe that a job that you've been working at the last 20 years may not exist 10 years from now. And you were thinking your kids were going to move into that type of work. So those are the kinds of things, the challenges that we face. And then as an artist, one of the challenges that I've always faced is teaching, especially parents and other teachers, that art is a viable career. There's the starving artist may exist in some circles, but there are plenty of artists that are making money from their work. But art is everywhere. Art is in marketing. Art is in design. Art is, just like he said, in space. There was recently a contest for artists so that there would be an art piece at NASA for the astronauts to see before they boarded the ship, because it changes mood. A designer created the suits that they wear, and if a designer does it, then they know what's needed, as opposed to not just an engineer. So the artist or the designer works in conjunction with the engineer, because there was one suit that was created that was actually leaking air, and it was a designer that helped them to fix that. So that's the other challenge, for people to understand that art is everywhere. It is necessary. It's not just pretty work. It's work that's viable. So those are the two challenges that I see on my end.
Yes, well, it's really fascinating. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that, because you're right. There are a lot of opportunities outside of the art that we might see, like public art or murals and going to galleries and museums. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Now I want to move forward, because I want to focus on education. And William, I read an article recently where you talked about HBCU students and their digital media use. And I wanted you to share with us some highlights from that article, because we hear about LinkedIn being a popular platform for career growth, and so I wanted to highlight some of those points regarding that from your article for HBCU students.
Oh yeah, well thank you for reading it and sharing that with me. Yeah, I am a proud graduate of South Carolina State University, and in my undergraduate years there, I was always interested in learning about technology. At the time that I attended, from 1980 to 85, I majored in health and physical education. So there weren't really any opportunities to be directed in the area of technology or application or usage. I received a lot of that inspiration from my mother. She was a high school business teacher, so she taught at the time shorthand. Then she taught working with the manual typewriters and electric typewriters. So she would have me, my brother, and my sister putting all of that stuff together so we could see how the advancements were. So when I got to South Carolina State, it was like, okay, well, where's the technology? And there was minimum tech, but that made me appreciate what I learned at the time when I had access. And with the things that Aida and I do in the community, we just like to inspire students and faculty to get more engaged with different areas of technology outside of the school. I had the opportunity of the blessing to work for NASA and Edward Waters College here in Jacksonville. Edward Waters College is the oldest HBCU here in Florida. So I taught there from 2004 to 2012 in the education department, and I developed the program Social Media, Educational Technology, and STEAM, where I taught the students how to use low-tech in classroom environments, and also if they were business majors, how to apply technology in the business environment. So it worked out pretty good because it started out just as for teachers since it was in the education department, but because I was adding so many elements of blogging, social media integration, how to use LinkedIn for networking and preparing for careers, how to apply your brand and marketing your brand on LinkedIn for HBCU students, that my desire was to continue to blog about it and write about it because there's not too much information out there directly specifying what to do, how to become engaged and involved for HBCU students. There's a lot of information, but I try to make it as a graduate personal where they can relate to it and understand it. And we just go forth and we talk about, actually there's a group called Black Pages with the WordPress community that we're part of, and we're part of the advisory group to help them market and brand HBCU students to attend WordCamp conferences that are held nationally and internationally as well. So it's a lot of work to be done.
And exactly, what is WordCamp? I've heard about it, but what exactly is it?
So, WordPress is WordPress is a platform where you can create a blog online or websites online. So WordPress, right? So WordPress has dominated about 30 to 40% of the internet right now. So they have what's called WordCamps, which are conferences throughout the world where people come together, and they're virtually they're free. In person, the price is nominal, especially for the amount of information that you get. So each community that has an ongoing meetup, those that have larger meetups will have an actual WordCamp. And so they have a theme, they'll have speaker calls, but there's talks on technology, there's talks on web development for developers, there's talks on business, there's talks on the community itself. So that's how we speak. We speak on different subjects depending on what the camp is and what they're looking for. But that's basically what a WordCamp is. It's a conference, and they are held throughout the world.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that, because I had heard about it, but I didn't know it was connected with WordPress, the platform. Okay. Well, thank you. So, Aida, now that we're talking about WordPress, I want to switch back to art and the art community in Jacksonville. So, explain to our audience what's happening in Jacksonville, because many people might not know about a few of the museums there, or just about the overall art community there. So please share with us what's happening in Jacksonville regarding that.
So there are lots of exciting things happening with art in Jacksonville.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved here about 20 years ago, and what's funny, I was telling this to William just the other day, that there was a art store here, and the very first thing I did was go to the art store, purchase some supplies, and then ask them, what's the local art community, are there places where we can meet? And they didn't have any information at all. And I was telling him what's so funny is how much has changed. So we have the Cultural Council now that has a list of artists where that was not available at one time. So now there is a list of local artists that you can find on the Cultural Council. They have ongoing support for local artists. So they have meetings that you can go to, teaching you how to monetize your art, how to make your business art as a business. But the most exciting part for me with Jacksonville is the murals. We have murals now all over the city, and
Great.
that was not the case 20 years ago. I think 20 years ago we may have one or two, but now if you drive through downtown, just about any part of Jacksonville has art. There are contests that are available for local artists. The Jazz Festival holds a contest every year for the poster. We've had statues that have been put out throughout the city where artists can bid to actually paint the statue or do something to it. So we've had the manatee, we've had dolphins, and then they're placed throughout the city, and then they're auctioned off afterwards to support the arts. So there are a lot of really, really exciting things happening with arts in Jacksonville.
Excellent. Okay. Well, that's exciting. So I appreciate you sharing that with our audience, because I don't think many people are aware of the murals and just the overall art scene there in Jacksonville.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you haven't been here, I definitely invite you to come. But if you've been here and you haven't been here in a while, come back and you'll be surprised what's going on.
All right, perfect, cool. Well, so in closing, are there any words or for our audience regarding STEM and what people can do in their communities regarding STEM education?
Well, I would encourage them, if they are interested, they can contact us through email or through our social media sites, and we can point them in some of the directions of resources that's online. YouTube is a good platform. If you just type what is STEAM education, what is STEM education, and learn what's going on there. Aida's brand is Love Built Life. So if they Google Love Built Life, they'll come up with information related to the art. My brand is My Quest to Teach. So if they Google us in Google, or they Google us on YouTube, they'll come up with some videos that we have of some instruction that we do, because there are other things that we do in the community as well that encourages young people to learn more and more about STEM, but also directed to the parents, as Aida was talking about, so they understand the importance and awareness of it. So our brands are on social media.
And I would say to anyone who's interested in expanding. Well, first of all, there's so much you can do virtually. We're actually working with a library in Wisconsin next month, so there's so many things that can happen virtually. But if you're interested and you love, especially if you love young people, just get out there. The local libraries are always looking for someone who may want to teach an art class, or you may have some knowledge that you may want to collaborate with someone else and that may know how to work with kids, and collaborate with them and just volunteer at a local library, and you'll be surprised how many kids will come out to see the class. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate that, because like I say, I want to be able to share with our audience about these opportunities. I'm glad to have had you all to speak about that today. So thank you so much for your time.
Special thanks to William and Aida Jackson of My Quest to Teach and Love Built Life. You may find their platforms online at myquesttoteach.com or lovebuiltlife.com. This is Lisa Tinsley, and I would like to thank you for listening to our first podcast of Inside Black American. Please visit us online at KISAradio.org. Thank you for your support, and thank you for listening.